Okay. Okay, Lee, let me know when you're ready to start. Let me just.
You can go anytime.
Okay, one more minute. Okay, I think I'm ready. Welcome, everyone. My name is Sherry Reif Naselli, and I am the president of ARC Gallery and Educational Foundation. And we're thrilled to have Danny Floyd as our juror for this exhibition called Solitude. I want to tell you a little bit about Danny. Danny is an artist, researcher, curator, and educator based out of Chicago. At the risk of confusion, his work seeks to narrow threshold between meaning and nonsense in text and images. Often at odds with the neuronormative conventions, he embraces divergent thinking through improvisation and the delightfully weird. He is the exhibition's director for ACRE, or ACRE, and a lecturer of visual and critical studies and sculpture at SAIC. That's the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, for those of you who are not familiar. Since 2013, he's been an active part of the Chicago artist-run space community through two programs, Ballroom Projects and Adler and Floyd. He has held residencies with ACRE and Chicago Artists Coalition. He was also awarded the Gaylord and Dorothy Donnelly Foundation Curatorial Fellowship in 2017. So I welcome him. Danny, do you want to say, are you with us? And do you want to say something?
Hi, I am here, and it's good to see everyone in a weird, kind of rectangular way. But yeah, this was a real it was a real pleasure to jury this show, not only because the work was fascinating and engaging, but also because it gave me a lot to think about on the topic of solitude. And upon reflection, I kind of realized that there's sort of two forms of solitude that we experience under quarantine, and one is the solitude of being indoors by ourselves, locked inside. And over the summer, when it was warm and we could go outside, people were retreating into nature to find solitude. It was like kind of the only thing you can do. So there's this, the show is meant to have this very abstract idea of what the outside is, like as if you're looking out of your window and you're not really sure how you feel about the outside world, but also an inside world which is really in high relief and less abstract. It gave me a lot to think about. I hope it gives everyone else something to think about. But I think that's all.
Yeah. Let me just quickly read as a reminder what the call was actually read. So solitude. Solitude can elicit either a sense of euphoria or peace, or a sense of confinement or punishment, while others are isolated in a community unit. As we move forward into fall and winter months, the COVID-19 continues to impede our movements and interactions. How do we, as individuals or as members of a larger event, worldwide community, process these survival confinements? The artists use their mediums to express the inner joy, conflict, frustration, sadness, or peace we find ourselves confronting. This show represents the creative endeavors of this process under the current circumstances, keeping artists alone but pulling together into a community. So first of all, what we've done is I think that Lee is going through just the PowerPoint images of all the artist work that was accepted by Danny. I'm going to kind of open it up to people if you recognize your piece and want to say something, or Danny, if you see something that you think you want to make a comment on, I welcome you to do so. I think that helps us all have a point to get some insight into what your thinking was and your choices, and also helps us as viewers get insight into the artists' minds of the creators who've created some of these pieces. This is my first time of seeing the show because I too have been in isolation. I'm not sure where the beginning is, but why don't we wait until we repeat? I've just started looking at my screen. So yeah, I'm going to open it up to people to step up if you want to give us a minute to go through. Oh, there's a book. That looks like it looks like everybody's going to have to come to the gallery to see this one. So, which is a good thing. While I'm at it, I'll mention our hours. We're open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're open Friday from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from noon until 4. So these are not our norms, but they are our COVID hours. So you're required to wear a mask. We request you stay 6 feet apart, and only 5 people are allowed in the gallery at a time. And so that means 6 people, including the gallery sitter. So welcome again to all of you. Thank you for joining us. This looks like a really interesting show, Danny. I might be calling on you again another time. So I'll open up to anyone who would like to speak, or if Danny, you want to jump in, please feel free to do so.
I'd love to hear what other people think, and I can jump in if necessary.
Now, I would like for this to become kind of a conversation, not a monologue for any one of us. So I think that's what you're saying too, Danny. So please, if anyone wants to say something about your work or about someone else's work that you have a question about, please don't be shy, and because that's how we have the most interesting openings.
Love this piece.
I'm curious about that book. Is the person that made the book around?
I was going to say something, but then it progressed to the next very quickly.
Can we hear about it?
Sorry. It's really just a journal that I bound within the first 2 weeks of being sent home from work in mid-March, from all materials that I had at home that I was using for, they were either spare parts, or in the case of the atlas pages, it was a big atlas that I'd been meaning to use for a really long time and just never had an idea. I think I had it around for about a decade. So I bound the book, and then I just started drawing and putting down thoughts, and I started making these text drawings that I really enjoyed, because even if I was feeling stressed out or unable to think really creatively, it was like this geometric pattern. I'd just come up with the word and then I'd execute it, and it was kind of like a meditation.
So those letter forms are ink?
Yeah, it's mostly India ink and Pigma pen. There's some collage in there, a little bit of block print. And then there are lots of drawings of animals, because one of the things early on that I really was interested in is, or something that really caught my interest, was the fact that because everyone was inside and cities were empty, there were all of these stories about animals that came out, or animals that could return to, areas where they once were and they weren't able to go, like whales going into shipping lanes because there weren't any ships and it wasn't noisy. And And there was a deer, a Sika deer in the subway in Tokyo. And there were really cool things happening. And I love to draw animals. That's something I do a lot. And so that's what caught my interest as sort of a hopeful thing that was happening.
Cool. Thanks.
This has a really nice tactile quality for me when I saw it in the gallery. I don't know why. I just wanted to like flip through all the pages. I didn't. I want to touch it, but it has a beautiful just quality in person as well of materials.
How did you display it? Is it standing up or do you have it lying flat so people can turn the pages?
It's lying flat so people can turn the pages.
Okay, great. That's
And so
nice.
maybe we should put a note there too, that it's okay to turn the pages.
You know,
It's ingrained in us not to touch.
yeah, I'm going to be at the gallery tomorrow. I'm gallery sitting, and I can take a pair. Excuse me. I can take a pair of gloves down, and we can put them by the piece so that people can put gloves on to handle it.
Okay, that's like an invitation, but
Exactly.
might even be better if they, use their, I don't mind if they use their hands as long as they're, careful.
Okay.
Like most people are.
Well, maybe we can print out a little label that says, "Feel free to turn the pages" or something like that. So, okay. Very nice, by the way, Marty. This is lovely.
Thank you. Thanks for including me.
I second that.
Yeah.
So Danny, what drew you to this piece?
Like I said, I think when you're isolated indoors, the outside world feels like kind of abstraction, and to me, the intimate quality of having the book, as well as the I haven't touched it, but I think books have a tactile quality that came through. I see that as being a very direct and very intimate thing, a very kind of inside thing, and yet it's the content of the pages is exploring, bigger geographical contexts, which are like seem at more of a distance than ever. And so I think that kind of like push and pull between the inside and outside was compelling to me. I also have, like it said in my bio, I have a fondness for text and art, text and image together. So I was just really drawn to that on a personal taste level. But yeah, it's a beautiful book. I love it, Marty.
Great, thank you.
What's the meaning of the sewing of the little pieces inside? Marty.
Sorry. What pieces have you seen it?
Yes, I have. In fact, I opened it.
The little bat pieces?
Yeah.
They're Chinese bats. So it was really about one of the theories is that it came from, this virus came from a bat or a pangolin. And so it was the little Chinese bats are cut out of the Chinese map pages. So there aren't very many pages that have China. It's just the bats, and the bats are spreading throughout the world.
Oh, wow.
And in one, it's about how the virus is mutating, and so I changed the bat to a butterfly.
Oh, I see. Okay, now I know.
I don't know. It's really just.
It's very unique. I love it.
Yeah, I think we could use an explanation for every page. Every page has a story.
It's true. It does.
I think it's important that we try to get there and see it and try to figure out those interpretations ourselves. So thank you, Marty. It was really beautiful.
So I saw that John is here as well. Would you like to say anything about your piece? If John is still here.
Oh, yeah. Yes. With this one, a lot of the things that I've been interested in making have been different kinds of collages of different things. And so uh, with this kind of idea, I'd made two kind of pieces, and this was the second one. And this second one was more focusing on, I guess, sort of like negatives towards thinking about isolation and solitude, sort of thinking about isolation more specifically, and about sort of like the mind, and thinking about uh, sort of being solitary in more than one way than just sort of being alone by yourself, sort of being thinking about sort of isolation like mentally instead of just physically.
Interesting.
Is that an ink on photo?
Beautiful piece.
Looks like a print. Is that a print, John, or a digital image?
It's a screen print.
It's a screen print. Oh, great. That's interesting. Lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think when I saw this, everything John was saying really came through very clearly. And I also, on a material level, thought it was a very deft screen print. It's a really, really great, it's a really beautifully executed screen print. I'm really into that. And I tried to, throughout the show, I kind of tried to create a visual theme of connecting the interior with figuration. And this tied that kind of like theme, that visual theme, with the emotional theme really clearly. So yeah, I think this is a really beautiful piece. I love it.
Thank you.
Is Bob there?
Here I am.
I think we need to hear about this.
Yeah, this is really interesting. I love the bucket of water. And I'm not laughing at it. I think it's really
Makes you
wonderful.
smile,
Well, it's
though.
not supposed to be water, right?
There was a glitch in the description of the material on screen. The material is 4-quart galvanized steel pail, water, can't forget that. A lot of water in there, a lot of water in there. And the clock is made of metal and plastic and paper and glass, and a little bit of piss. Battery not included. In that picture, it really is so, but not in the gallery. But in the film, of course, it was so.
That's
My
just
bad, my bad.
wonderfully.
Yes.
Boy, this fits. I can see why Daniel picked this one.
Because this is how I felt. This all this isolation business. I'm still there, and along out of this came, after I was looking at this, because the submission asked for an artist statement. I wrote a little short piece, maybe a dozen lines, that went along with this piece to wrap in it, to wrap around it. So if you'll bear with me, I'll just run through it. It's
That sounds great. Please do.
Okay.
Yes.
You there? How's doing? Okay. It's been a while. Guess so. Anything going? I don't know. Huh? I'm working at, stuff from summer. I'm that. Me? No, stuff. Been there, up and back. Yeah. Tell me. I'm trying, but same here. Zero. Nowhere. Time's not. Time. Fuck time. To hell with it. Yeah. And so, how's it really with you? Shit. This solitary. To hell with it. This a crusher. That ain't the word, pal. Tell me. Well, it's more like I'm here and I'm not. Got all this stuff and godforsaken dark hole. Idea splash. I don't know if hard to catch. Yeah, I don't know, man. Nothing matters. Yeah, I hear you. No one No one hears. Shout, seize. What's it, Matt? Oh, yeah, gotta go. Yeah, gotta. Me too. Yeah, get, yeah. Oh, don't make.
Great.
That goes along with it. That's just where I'm at. I don't know about you.
It's wonderful.
Thank you for asking. I love making it. It helped me.
That's great. That's even better.
And I hope all this work everybody else, and I know all this work everybody else has made has enabled them to move on through this time too, as well. I know that. So
Well,
thanks.
thank you. Thank you for submitting. It's really wonderful.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see it in real life tomorrow.
And it's going to disintegrate. It's going to disintegrate as it's in the water. I know it. And that's
Oh,
fine. It's time. It's all of life. It's all ephemeral. It's going to disappear. You'll see. Thank you for asking.
How about Kate?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, it took me a minute to unmute myself.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. So there's not really anything I want to say about it except just for some context. I did four together. I don't know if you can really see them behind me. There's three others there. Can you see them or not really?
yes, we can.
Yeah,
we
so
can see them.
Each of them was kind of a different mood of the lake. So, you know, it ranged from kind of wild and stormy to very calm. This is the most tranquil of them, which may or may not have corresponded to my own mood or the mood of what was going on. Yeah, so it was really just, you know, taking the few minutes in the day to just take myself out of everything that was going on. It's like my few moments of peace in the morning on my morning walk. And the title corresponds to the number of days from when the lockdown started. So that's it.
Great, Kate. It's lovely.
I love the way you framed it as well, that it's like floating. It's a shame we can't really see it.
Yeah.
It's worth seeing in the gallery.
They all are, but yes.
Could I
Well,
ask,
that's an incentive for everybody to stop by. So, yeah.
could I
Gary,
ask if
Gary, did you
people,
want to
when they
say
talk-
something?
When they talk, would say where they're from, because I know that this show draws from such a large area, and so it'd be interesting to know where people are from.
Yeah,
And
well,
I-
I'm here in Chicago, and this is an image of Lake Michigan from my going for a walk there every morning.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love the way Lake Michigan feels like an ocean or like some big sea. It's just this vast
Exactly.
body
Yeah,
of water.
exactly. Yeah. And it's like you go there, you never know what you're going to get when you go there. So every day it's a surprise, and every day it takes you out of whatever else is going on just for a few minutes.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what this was about.
It's very beautiful. It looks like a specific moment in time in the lake.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to show you the others, because each of them is like just a little snapshot of whatever was going on right at that moment.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm glad we saw all of them. They're beautiful, and I grew up on Lake Michigan, and I totally agree with that.
Yeah, and I'm a transplant here, and I come from a place with water, Australia, which has a big Sydney has a big harbour, so it's this is my new body of water.
It's lovely. I've been in love with the lake for years too, Kate. So
yeah, how can you not be, really?
Yeah, exactly. That's absolutely true.
Didn't Gary want to know where all the other artists are from? Is there anyone who can say? Is someone have a list or?
I don't have that information handy.
You know, Bob, are you from Chicago as well?
Yes, I put it under my identification name.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
Rogers Park.
look at you. You're so.
Is Nancy with us? I thought 2 of the images were from Asia, Korea, or
Yeah, there's one from Korea and one from Austria. So we have 2 international.
can you
pieces.
remember any of the states, other states besides ours? Or
Well, in chat, Marty has just mentioned she's from Evanston, Sherry Rush from Chicago, Jeffrey Brooks from Oswego. So is Doug here? Doug Malone, I thought I saw your name in the grid of people. Doug, would you like to say something? Oh, you have to unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, wonderful, thank you.
Okay. Well, this is a pastel drawing or painting, and it's typical of much of the work that I do, which features figures in isolation or figures in an interior space or landscape where they're in a self-consciously isolated environment. And this one I created using myself as a model, as I often do. Most of my work is figurative and features nude or semi-nude figures in various settings. And this one I used my studio room in my house for the spatial environment. And also, as with much of my work, I'm very conscious of the deliberate arrangement of the picture, the composition, and the way all the different elements work together and balance each other in the piece. And so it's not just an image of a figure in a room, it's a calculated formal construction. So all of those elements that you see surrounding the figure they're partially real or partially based on real things and partially invented, but it's not so much a matter of recording a scene as much as creating a sort of harmonious and formal construction with the figure at the center or as the focal point of the composition. And in my work, I'm very concerned also with anatomy, which is something I've studied and taught for many years. And I'm just fascinated by the form of the human body and the way that light illuminates the form of the human body. And the light is something that is also foremost in my consideration when I'm making a picture like this, is how does the light illuminate the figure, but also how does the light help create the ambience of the spatial context, whether it's an interior in this case or an exterior or landscape. And I think that covers it mostly.
Magnificent.
Thank you.
what's the German connection? Why'd you name it in German?
Oh.
I noticed you have an Irish.
Einsamkeit, it's a German word that it means solitude or aloneness or the state of being alone or isolated. And I'm studying German, so I just I just like the sound of the word, so I titled it in German.
Cool.
But my main concern really is in everything I do is the draftsmanship, the drawing, the accuracy of drawing is really the fundamental thing for me, where everything else comes from. So that's really my primary concern, is the accuracy of the draftsmanship, and everything else sort of follows from that. And again, it's a matter of trying to make not just a recognizable image, but a sort of formal construction that makes sense in its own right, in terms of just the abstract arrangement of the pictorial elements independent of the subject matter. I try to balance things very carefully. So for instance, like the window with the drape on the right side, that's not just there because there might be a window there with a drape on it. It's a deliberate compositional choice for me, that it needed something over there. And then that little sliver of the cool daylight coming through at the top, just as I work through the picture, things like that just become apparent to me as being needed in this place or that. And then I develop the painting according to those choices as I go. So I have a general idea in the beginning of what it's going to be, but as the work progresses, I find myself moving things around and adding things or subtracting things, and just placing everything in the picture so that it meets some sort of standard that I'm setting for myself in terms of the satisfactory arrangement of the thing, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. I think it's really beautiful. Lovely image. Yeah.
Yeah, and the light is fabulous.
Light is beautiful, yeah. And I like the way that forms are so simplified. It's really beautiful, Doug. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
That's me. No, it's not literally me, but when I saw the call for work and talking about solitude, I went back to a series that I had done, painting persons who had been homeless, chronically homeless in the city of Buffalo, because it was a unique sense of solitude and marginalization. And this is Joe, and Joe was born with spina bifida, but he was also on the streets and homeless. And what I sought to do is capture the dignity and spirit of each of these individuals in their environment. He was connected to a HUD program called Housing First, where he was able to get an apartment in this subsidized apartment building. And I guess that's all I'm going to say about it. You can comment on it or not. But I'm very pleased to be with you all in this show.
Very beautiful.
I'm interested a little bit in the media and how you work with the encaustic on the tar paper and how that works. And I don't know that much about that.
So I wanted to use tar paper because it was a material in building and building homes. And, you know, since I was painting a number of portraits of people who had been homeless, I wanted to use that. Plus, I found a bunch of it in my garage and said, this would be interesting. So I started painting on it in oils and realized that the asphaltum in the tar paper was bleeding through, and a lot of my whites would end up brown. So I had been playing with encaustics, and so I would do the original image in oils, and then I would go back in encaustics, and the wax would create kind of this barrier. And so once I painted it in encaustic, I went back with a palette knife in oils to enhance it. And so these pieces and I guess you all in the art gallery can testify to this or not, but there tends to be a three-dimensional feel to and grittiness to the surface, and that grittiness kind of reflected the grittiness of the streets. And so that's kind of how I work with it. So it's 3 layers, basically oil and caustic, and then, you know, final oil right out of the tube with this palette knife.
I love the texture. I love the folds of the clothes on his body, and it's right in the center of the image of the piece, and it just really draws me in, and I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the light too. The light is, but I'm really curious about. I went right to his feet. I'm trying to figure out his legs. Are they twisted? Like, is he have one leg crossed over the other, or it's?
Yeah, he kind of, well, crossed at the calf probably, and he's sitting on this pillow, and the legs have not been functional for a long time. So, yeah, they're kind of hanging, dangling almost.
Yeah, and the boots seem so heavy.
Yeah.
Like, it's really interesting.
One of the things I really love about the medium is the dark black of the tar paper. And so I can utilize that, and then kind of all these figures tend to emerge out of this darkness. And so hence the name of the show with these portraits was called Out of Darkness.
Yeah. Wow.
That's beautiful.
I want to see that in person.
Thank you.
How long is it up again? How long is, I don't know when I'm going to get to Chicago. How long is the show up again?
Just a minute. I'll have to until, this is a 2-month show, so it'll be up until February 27th.
All right. I will definitely make a date to get down there.
Yeah. This is absolutely magnificent. I love the idea that it was on tar paper, and yeah, it's just beautifully done, and extremely, it seems extremely relevant now too, with a lot of things that are happening. So
thank you, Sherry.
Yeah, it seems there's a lot of emotion in the piece.
yeah, just magnificent.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Like the kind of the smoky yellow in the background, but then when he's looking down, and then you have these big bright yellow heavy boots, and just kind of popping out of the blues.
Yeah,
love it.
Those hands are very expressive also.
Yes, they are. Yes.
Buffalo.
Buffalo. Where's Greg? Where are you from?
Oh, New York. The other
Buffalo.
lake, Erie.
Thank you, Gary, for entering the piece.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
So Catherine is here, yes?
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi, Catherine. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you. So this piece was part of a larger project that I started a couple of years ago in thinking about my role as the primary caregiver to 2 young children and spending the majority of my time at home. Obviously, that's been exacerbated even more this year with the pandemic. And I began to notice these light reflections, refractions, and shadows sort of popping up all over our house towards the end of the day, sort of late afternoon, early evening. And I began to document them. So it was really a chance for me to feel connected to, the outside world, sort of nature, the natural world, and also, thinking about that push-pull between being an artist and also a parent, and taking that time to invest in that creative process. And so this is an example of that series.
Do you
It's
have
lovely.
a dark room? Do you print in a dark room?
I don't have access to a darkroom right now. So what I do is I typically, shooting on film is a big part of my process. It's pretty time consuming, but that's kind of part of what I like about it is I can really be very deliberate in composing these images. But as of now, what I do is I scan all the film in and then have them printed digitally.
That's interesting. So yeah, this is a really interesting image. Yeah, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Someone else develops the film as well?
Yes, I have it. I send it out to have it processed because at this point I don't have access to, to the darkroom facilities.
Uh-huh.
But that was something you did before?
Yes.
Do you
So
miss it?
what's that?
Do you miss it?
I do miss it. I miss it a ton. I am also a teaching artist, and I typically teach at a nonprofit in the city in Chicago. And I haven't been able to teach this year, but they have darkroom facilities there, and it's that's definitely a part of the process that I really love.
Well, I think you have an amazing eye because you're noticing these lights and darks that we probably generally just ignore, take for granted, whatever. And the fact that you noticed it and photographed it and created this really interesting image is pretty cool.
Thank you. I mean, it really, part of the title is kind of this double meaning in terms of the witching hour can refer to like the literary meaning in that sort of the middle of the night when, the spirit world comes alive. A lot of these images are very sort of ghostly and ephemeral, but also as parents, we can refer to the witching hours like the end of the day when our kids are at their craziest and everybody's tired and hungry and kind of out of control. And so really this became a joy to be able to kind of take a pause and really notice the beauty that's happening around us and just take the time to have that kind of beautiful moment amidst the chaos of the day.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if Andrea's here. I don't see her name.
Is Andrea here?
I don't think so. We'll come back if you are and I'm missing you. How's that? So
Okay.
Sherry is here. Hi, Sherry. You need to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, for several years, I've been working on a large scale works having to do with the layers that we tend to put between us and nature or landscape. And these, the works are having to do how instead of being in nature and in the landscape, we tend to experience it through our cell phone taking pictures through the train window or the car window or what have you. So my works are usually very large scale and have a lot of movement. So when the shelter in place happened and I came home, I quickly made a small studio, and after experimenting or whatever, I use cell phone pictures that I've taken on specific journeys and develop a body of work. I had been working on a show and trying to explore scale. So when the shelter in place happened, everything was canceled, and I started. It became weird because here then we were having to experience everything through the window and through the computer screen and through our phone screen and everything else. So it was sort of weird that I was dealing with that, and then it kind of happened. So I decided to scale down everything. These are about 16 by 20 inches. And I took spray paint away from myself, and I took oil paint away from myself, and I just did acrylic, and I took all the movement out of it because life was very still. And so I used my same source material and kind of stripped it down and broke everything down to the forms where the only movement was the light. And I don't know, for some reason I picked fluorescent pink, and I've been creating a lot of fluorescent pink since the shelter in place. So I need to have a pink show, but it's, so it's just kind of what happened, you know?
Yeah.
I love that corner down at the bottom and how it just shifts my whole space when I look at it.
Thanks.
Yeah, it makes me think of the car window.
That's what it was actually. Yeah, this imagery is from a show I had called Refuge, and it was about a sudden journey I had to make in the middle of the winter down to Florida. And usually I'm going someplace and someone else is driving when I'm shooting on my phone, but I found myself down in these tropical woods where it was very hot in January. I just come out of the polar vortex in Chicago, and I was in the middle of nowhere, and the light was tremendous, and the textures were tremendous, and shapes, and I just thought I'm going to go ahead and shoot this. So I was shooting from the driver's side, so I caught the window. So it is a car window. So that's kind of a heavy-handed symbol for the layers, I guess, that we put between ourselves and the landscape.
And it did look very tropical to me.
Yeah.
So you definitely got that across, and those hot colors, the pink and the gold, really make it look hot and tropical.
Yeah, it's weird that my entire palette changed when I scaled down and took everything away. My entire palette just went to I don't know. To me, it's very quiet and comforting. And I've sort of been in my little bubble space down here, just creating these.
I'd be really interested to see the work before or other work and how it's shifted compared to this.
I'd love to show you. My show was canceled, and then it went up in July, but you know, we weren't really running around a lot in July, so yeah, the scale, I went everywhere from 11-foot paintings to 7-foot paintings down to my 36 by 48, and I have trouble painting small, so it's sort of been interesting to give myself this task, and I really enjoy it. You know.
Yeah, you know, one of the only things I've enjoyed about teaching art online, which is like such a paradox, is that so many of the students I work with are doing things that they never would have allowed themselves to do. Like, you know, they're like, maybe they're forced to, or maybe they just see this as an opportunity, like, to kind of, you know, like, put the rule book aside because we live in a totally new world or something. So it's like, I like hearing these stories of people just talking about they like do something different. Now it's an opportunity to do something different.
Yeah.
I teach a class that has to do with like architecture and sculpture and how they're related. And there's like a concept from one of the like readings for it, which is that architecture doesn't separate us from nature. It articulates our relationship to nature. Like instead of just like it's like an articulation of how we exist in nature. And I think like you know, before that's kind of a concept. It's like, oh, as a matter of fact. But now I think it's a really charged concept where like when we're like in our homes, and I don't know, like there were a number of pieces, including this one, that really made me think about that when I was like looking through there. But yeah, I love this. I love just the slight suggestion of an inside and an outside, and yeah, it's really, really magnificent. I love it.
Thank you. Thanks for including it.
Yeah, of course.
Ooh.
Is Robert here? I don't have Robert. I don't see Robert, but we'll come back to you if you're here. Therese, I don't see you here either unless I'm missing you. Carol, I see Carol is here though.
I'm here. I'm unmuted. Start video. So there I am. So my medium is fiber. I'm a hand weaver, and this is hand woven. You can see on the details, it's 5 feet tall by 36 inches wide. So I work kind of on a bigger scale. This was done from a photograph. I take a lot of photographs too from my cell phone. And I'm trying to collect a bigger inventory of photographs. In fact, when the pandemic started, I was kind of glad about it. I called it my self-imposed artist residency. And that's how I've been treating it. You know, I know it for a lot of artists, it kind of stifled people, but I've been finding it that it's working for me. So I live on Lake Michigan. I'm from Escanaba, Michigan, and we live right on the lake. And so I have been taking lots of photographs of sunrises, sunsets, and this is from my inventory of photographs. And this is one of the sunsets. So for me, my process of weaving is normally very much an isolated process anyway. So this is kind of a window into my normal life, I guess. So I'm not feeling that sense of loneliness. I'm interested in all the nature that I'm seeing and things like that. I did have a couple of questions. I was wondering how many pieces are in total are in the show?
Is it like 18 or so?
18?
No, it's 23. There
23.
were about 300 pieces submitted, almost 100 artists, around 300 pieces. And we have 23 in the show.
Wow. And then I was also wondering, because I don't think I'm going to be able to get down there to see it. Do you think that anybody would be willing to film it and present a virtual gallery walk?
I actually did do that, Carol.
We are going to have that posted on the website. It hasn't been finished yet, but there is there will
that'd be great.
There will be a tour of the gallery. So
because I don't know, I feel like it's so different to see the pieces on the wall, especially with other pieces near them, as opposed to just the images that have been submitted by the artist. So that would be great.
Yeah. Plus your piece for the slide, I had to crop it in because there was a dark background. There's beautiful tassels on each corner that are missing in the image. That's a part of it. You know, it's sort of flattened out here.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It is on its own wall, but there are pieces near it.
I didn't see Gwen.
really want to hear about Gwen's fabric art. And has anyone seen it in person that can describe it a little bit? Fabric art and collage.
It looks like it's fabric swatches to create the buildings. Can you see that?
Yeah, no, I can. I wish I could zoom in.
Yeah.
It actually looks quite a bit like a painting until you get up really close to it.
It does.
And
And
it's
Nancy, are those all strips of fabric on the side to create the curtains that are shifted?
I'm not sure actually.
Not,
It came
not
late.
seeing it.
It came late in the mail. I stuck it on the wall and headed out.
And it's up. I'm gonna move along though, because we're getting close to 5 and we still have Ruti's show and a couple more people that I know are here.
Okay, that's great.
I don't think did not see Paula. If I'm missing you, let me know. Is Stephanie here?
Yeah, this is a video that we have in the gallery. Well, we have, oh, did we ever get it to play on our TV?
Yes, I got it to work.
No, Ruti, it's the wrong video. It's not this one. But it isn't playing on their monitor at this point, but we can play it on the computer screen. So we can do that. And I think it's going to there's going to be a link up on the website as well.
It'll play a little bit here, but it's like 11 minutes long, so we're not going to watch it.
Thank you all so much for joining me today, recording this from my kitchen in Highland Park, Los Angeles, in a 61-unit building on a 3rd floor walk-up. It has been 2.5 weeks since the WHO labeled COVID-19 a pandemic, and since I have been sheltering in place. My parents started sheltering in place since January 28th, 2020. They live in Shanghai, China, where I spent the majority of my life. 2 days ago, China closed its border to foreign nationals. For my Chinese American family, this meant that neither my brother, who lives in DC, nor I could return to Shanghai, and my parents would not be able to return home if they left. All 3 of them would have been here.
Oops.
So this,
okay. Well, I'm going to move along.
Interesting in that it's a long. It's very simple in that she's just paints her horse the whole time,
Yeah.
but it's also very insightful, thoughtful address of the politics of Chinese American relationships over the last years.
Yeah, I really recommend if you get a chance to go to the gallery and visit the show to spend some time with this video. It's very challenging in a really great way. I find it to be very moving. So yeah, I'll just say when you get a chance to go to the gallery, I highly recommend. Yeah, it's a great piece.
And we'll have the link on the website also.
Yeah, we'll have the link to an online version of it.
So the rocking horse looks like it's like automated because it has a squeak and it's just really slow rocking. Or is the painting motion actually making it rock? It almost looks like it's plugged in.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, well, Jeffrey's here.
Hello.
Hi, Jeffrey, welcome.
So thanks for including me, of course. And so I took this photo, you can see it's a couple years back, and I'd been recovering from a very, very, very severe multi-year illness. And this was kind of my feelings as going back out into the world after that. And then, so all this happened and it seemed pertinent again. And my wife and I, because of my illness, my wife and I have been fully quarantined since, I guess March, right? So definitely feeling the walls and like everybody. And I don't know what else to say.
Well, I hope you're well.
Yeah, but I'm taking this very seriously. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And
So Jeffrey, excuse me, go ahead.
this is a flash photography. I do a lot of work with strobes, and so this is actually probably like 3 or 4 shots that I pieced together using a largely static camera, but changing lighting. So the light on the figure is not necessarily the light on the wall behind her, etc. Just for coloring purposes.
It's a great piece.
Jeffrey, where are you located? Where do you live?
I'm in I'm sort of in Oswego, Illinois, which is a burb of Chicago. It's sort of where the burbs become, I always used to say rural, but I guess where the burbs become big box, maybe would be a better way to describe it these days.
I'm familiar with Oswego. I used to live in Clarendon Hills, and yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and so this photo
now
is
I'm north.
Of I guess like 6 or 7 in a series that I did at the time. And it's funny because largely I consider myself a painter now, but these photos seem pretty on the nose for how we're all feeling.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's lovely.
Thank you.
Okay. They're very Cindy Sherman-esque.
Yeah, I'm a huge Cindy Sherman and Barbara Kruger and Gregory Crutzen fan, so you can probably see that.
And this is your model next to you?
Yeah, this is my wife and model and co-quarantine inhabitant.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Okay, is Deanna here? Shine Kwan?
This is the piece from Korea, so she may not be here.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to click back through because I went backwards here, and we got a bunch at the end here. Is Amari here?
Very nice piece.
That's really interesting. Is Ellie here?
Yeah, that is nice.
I'd love to hear about this one if the gallerist wants to talk about it.
Sure. Yeah.
I love these. Ellie submitted a few pieces, and a lot of them were involving like archival or family photos, and sort of like presenting them in these kind of sort of non-traditional like installation formats that have like a very like a very interior kind of feel. Like it's like there's aspects of furniture or aspects of like household object or something. I found it to be I found the way it sort of finds itself in the room very emotive in a way. But yeah, and I particularly love this one. And I was like, I sure hope they have a good corner to put it in.
That's going to be my next question was it mounted in a corner?
Yeah, it has a good corner.
We have several corners. We have several corners, so. Is Dan Oliver here? No?
This is interesting.
Whitney Sage, are they here?
Oh, I saw Whitney.
I'm here.
Yay.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Yeah, I'll just quickly speak just about the series this work is from. This is actually from an ongoing series that I started a few years ago. But I thought the themes of the work related to the theme of the exhibition really nicely. All of the works are inspired by my regional hometown, which is Detroit, Michigan. I'm currently in Naperville, Illinois, so I'm currently fairly local. But the images depict some of the sort of struggling and challenged neighborhoods in Detroit, especially those that are sort of in the outskirts, far away from where a lot of the investments and funding and redevelopment is happening. So the works all from the series all depict endangered homes that are abandoned or have already been demolished, as well as there's some in the series that just depict the voided sort of sites where structures no longer remain. And in terms of material, they're all ink on paper.
So these are drawings then.
Yeah, when I
Yes,
unwrapped this, Whitney, I thought it was a photo, and then I had to look at it. It's so intricate and beautifully drawn.
Thank you. Yeah, they're sort of modeled after tintype photographs, even though they're all contemporary photographs I've taken. They're sort of modeled off of through the color of the Payne's gray ink and sort of the framing devices. I try to recall that sort of tradition of photography.
Mm-hmm. It's magnificent. Yeah, these are great. It's great.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I like your title too, The Homesickness. It's
yeah.
Yeah, there's over like 90,000 abandoned homes across the city proper. So
oh wow,
the idea of it being an illness, I thought, we think of homesickness as having that sort of nostalgic longing, which is definitely sort of personally where the work came from. But I like the kind of double edge of the name, alluding to just the absolute trauma that's been inflicted on the domestic areas of the city.
So is this actually a missing home?
This was a home that was still present, but it was completely abandoned. The door, in fact, was no longer on the front of the house, so it was completely accessible to people off the streets. I've documented all the addresses of these sites, and one of the things I like to do from time to time is try to either by physically going back there or through Google Images trying to sort of see some of the sites that were present but were what I guess I would call endangered. I like to sort of double check and see if they're still there. Some of the images from the series, not this one, but others, I use archival photographs of the neighborhoods that are, there's these great archives through Wayne State University of photographs that they've collected of the city from over the last 50 years. And some of them the shapes are taken from photographs, but the sites are no longer, you wouldn't be able to go and see what the building looks like, it's just gone. So they kind of, the series kind of treats or takes on different types of buildings in terms of present, absent, or no longer recorded.
You know what it reminds me of, strangely enough, is Amanda Williams' work. And do you know her work where she painted these abandoned houses, bright colors in Chicago?
Oh,
Yeah, I thought the same.
I might know of her. There was sort of something similar happening in Detroit. I don't know if it was affiliated with her at all, but they were painting abandoned homes bright orange throughout the city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
I had a show at the in Chicago a few years.
Mhm.
It's really interesting.
I think it's so interesting that this house is white with the trees in the window. And then the house, so it's kind of stark and empty and then of detail. And then the one next to it is so detailed. I just think it's a really powerful image.
Well, it's like everything's detailed except the house. And to me, what's the most interesting is how the house comes off as two-dimensional, very flat, like a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm. Like a cutout put on there almost.
Yeah, I try to kind of, and I vary this throughout the series as well. I like the idea of the kind of creating these inaccessible spaces, and inaccessible through their, in this case, like through their apparent flatness, you know, as a way of relating the work back to memory and some of the other associations we have with home and these domestic shapes. So I like this idea of this flattening of this object and this somewhat incomplete picture, this inability to sort of recall or even inhibit or inhabit the space.
Very nice, really.
Okay. Is anyone here from Parallel Cities?
These came in from Austria.
Okay, well, we'll move along.
Okay.
They're probably sleeping.
Okay, so quickly then we have the juror picks, who were the awards, which were the video. Danny, do you want to share a little bit about quickly, because we're kind of running over, we still have to look at all of Ruti's work still, how you came to pick these three?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned this piece a little bit already. I think like I said, it's a challenging piece. I personally love a good. I love a piece that's challenging, but
Oops.
It has a lot of detail to it that are things we really need to be thinking about. As we're becoming more isolated and we are thinking about solitude. This is also a massive geopolitical disaster that we're navigating, and navigating it from our own solitude. This piece couldn't get that across more clear. So she discusses the complicated relationship between China and the United States, and how that's only been exacerbated by the pandemic. But she also talks about a sort of legacy of racism against Chinese people, as well as the Chinese Exclusion Act, which is the only legislation that has ever targeted a single nationality for barring immigration to the United States. So yeah, it's incredible. It's very thought provoking. So I recommend it highly. And Catherine's here. This is one of those pieces that it hits you right away, and this is an image that's very easy to relate to in a way that's instinctual, that's not obvious upon looking at it, and then reading the writing that Catherine submitted with the piece. I just really was moved by the connection that an image like this has to her personal life in quarantine. So yeah, it's just one of those things. It hits you on the gut level. It's very simple and beautiful. And yeah, this piece, I didn't know it was coming from Austria. That's really cool. I had no idea. But so this piece also is a reminder that this is both a solitary experience that we're going through, but also a global experience that we're going through at the same time. And so it tells the stories of refugees living in Rome, and sort of puts their words against these very beautiful images of architecture in Rome, to create a very a very complicated feeling of loneliness, but also geopolitics at the same time, while also being very handsome objects. So I recommend if you go to the gallery, but I hope did they're marble blocks, right? I hope they came with them, but
It actually is somewhat different than this image.
Okay.
There's 7 pieces instead of 5, first of all, and 7 cards. The cards came in the mail, actually. They're postmarked with, they're stamped and have international stamps on them. So that's kind of fun. But the marble blocks are more, what do you think they're made of, Randy? They don't look quite like these blocks, and they're molded or sculpted in some ways. They look lovely still, but it's a little bit different look than this.
Yeah, they're rounded.
They're a
They're
little
more
more organic.
rounded, but they're like made of stone, aren't they? Natural stone.
I would think that they're sculpted from, stone.
They're rounded. They're more rounded, not as sharp as these.
Like 3 piled stones that get smaller or something. Anyway, okay, great. Well, thank you very much. We're gonna
can I just jump in here real quick before we go to Rudi's? First of all, I want to thank all of the artists who applied and congratulate them for being accepted. I think this is a fantastic show. I'm so thrilled, Danny, with your choices, and really, really tickled with the show that you've helped us produce. I'd also like to mention to the artists that if you are local, we do show we have spaces for individual artists, and we're cooperative. So we pay for half the cost of the space, but we ask you to pay for the other half. But because of that, we don't take a commission as of yet on any work that you sell. Can't have a show. I have a couple more spaces in 2021 available, but we're doing these 2-month group shows to help make it less work for us and to give more artists exposure. Whether we continue with that after COVID is over, I'm not sure, but please don't hesitate to apply for a show or email us at info@arcgallery.org if you're interested in having an exhibition. The other thing is, if you're in the Chicagoland area and you're a woman, sorry guys, we are a women's run cooperative and a women artist run cooperative. And if you might be interested in becoming part of a community, we have a really great community going here now. And I really would love to see you, if you're interested, to submit information to us. You can also get the information. You can get the information to show and to apply for membership online at arcgallery.org. So congratulations to all of you. Thank you through your applications for supporting ARC Gallery. We so appreciate the wonderful work you're all doing. And if you happen to be watching and part of this opening and you were not accepted, please do not let that deter you from number 1, applying to more, and actually number 1 for keeping on working, and number 2 for applying to more shows. We are thrilled to have you and have your work in the space, and hope you can come by and see it if you're in the area. Thank you.
So now we're going to take a look at our the show of Ruti Modlin.
So let me talk a little bit about Ruti, and then she can make her own introduction. Ruti is a member who works really hard at the gallery. We love her to death and love her work twice as much. So members get a show every couple years, or maybe a little less than that, depending. And I haven't seen this work. I just noticed one that I was familiar with, but Ruti, I'll let you go from here. I'm sorry. I just wanted to introduce you as a wonderful member of the gallery. Oh, wow. Okay, I'll shut up now.
I think people can look at the work, and then if there's questions.
It's interesting, Ruti, that these fit in with the solitude topic
I
pretty
know,
well.
I know.
I don't know that
When
you meant that, but it works.
once I started with figures that were seated due to the corona, I sort of found 4 more pieces that I had in my.
I was just thinking how often I sit like that with my legs all wound around each other. I love all the pattern that I'm seeing in this series.
Somebody just asked if I'm working from photographs, and I do. I work from model, from photographs, from anything that I even sketch at train stations, airports, anything.
What is your process then? How do you sort of come to, you know, selecting images and deciding when one will have a lot of color or when one is just going to stay black and white?
So that's why I added to sitting it out, I added the words variations on a theme, because I find that when I try to analyze my own work, I'm pretty much experimental with styles and with approaches, color, sketching. This one is a finger painting, and so I basically put them all under the roof of a chair. So basically, this one is called Miss Corona. No, oh, I see there's different names that were put. So this one was at the beginning of.
Oh, okay. Did I mess up? I thought this was.
It's okay. It's okay. And this one is from 2020. Yeah. The colors are a little bit off on this one, on these ones, but
much richer.
Right.
I love this one. Well, I love all your work, but
this one is called Ziggy's Dream, actually.
Oh, okay. So you're
And Ziggy's dog, and
labeling's off. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I'm just a member.
No, I think images came through in a different order than the list then.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
These are all acrylic on canvas. Most of them are 48 by 36 or by 24. Depends. This one's 24.
Michelle Stutz has a question, but you need to unmute, Michelle, unless you're doing it on chat.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Hi, Ruti. I was really fascinated by your title, and it's very strong and flexible. I can imagine it symbolizing a variety of situations during, the year of 2020. My question is, how does your title relate to the 11 pieces in your show? I like the fact that your subtitle says variation on, can you finish that for me? Is it
Variations on a theme.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Can you, even
So-
though it's a
so of
variation,
course,
what do
yeah.
they all have in common?
Well, they're all in pandemic times mostly, except for the subway pieces. But this one is called actually, Are We There Yet? So the titles are not corresponding so much. So this one was politically, this summer was a lot of protests and riots, etc. So that spurred on this one. And this is an image that I've actually had from a newspaper clipping from South Africa where I used to live. And I never used it, and it came in. So I'm very visually, I'm a visual addict. So I collect images, and and I eventually get to either put a model in that seat and model for me, or I use the photograph.
I love the patterns you've put in these. Like this one has the bricks that are then echoed by the
Right.
I guess the greenhouse ceiling and the shadows on those bricks and the plants shadowing. It's just like really works on every corner.
Yeah, and the
Thank you.
perspective just adds a depth, the light too.
This one I used, it was obviously from it's the Chicago Conservatory that I used as, and yes, it does not only talk about color of skin, but also about state of nature and how isolated we are and separated and almost out of control. So it's a pondering painting. Pretty philosophical, I think.
These are
Ruti.
wonderful.
Hey, Ruti, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yep.
Okay. I'm really astonished with the color and the value in this piece. It's very strong in terms of perspective. You have a 1-point perspective, then you got 2-point perspective, and then the perspective on the bricks, and even the perspective of his legs is taking us in all different directions. I like the fact that your colors are very cool, but then you have that sense of sunlight coming in, a sense of hope. Very, very strong piece, and it really fits the title. Thank you.
I think I'm hiring you to talk for me.
I would love to do that, but for free.
The Ruti, this R-U-T-I, Ruti is showing hers.
I think that Galaxy A20 needs to mute.
That's also expressing his talent.
Yeah, everyone I saw looks sort of on the older side.
So, Gallery A20, would you like to say something? Ruti, is this, Ruti, I'd like to ask you, is this a self-portrait?
This is a self-portrait, but I was actually considering...
I do, I'm not sure nothing that says leave.
Is somebody talking?
It's fixed now. Galaxy A20 was unmuted.
Oh, I see. Okay. This started as a portrait of somebody else. And then I found out some facts about it. I don't want to go into it. And then I just snatched her body and put my head on it. So I really like that shirt. So it's called the white shirt.
One way to borrow clothing.
I was good. What a cheap way to buy clothes, you know?
I know.
Can you talk about when you make the decision to mix black and white and color and what your intention is with that, and when, you know, because some of them has it and some doesn't?
Right. I'm actually, people that know my work, it used to be more colorful, and I'm sort of inching towards monochrome. Obviously not fully, but I'm enjoying this for now. Just focusing on that. Here, of course, because it's me and it's my hands that are painting, I just left a little bit of sort of skin tone on it.
But you separate the subject a lot of times from the background between color and black and white.
In this instance, yes, I really enjoyed that. I don't know why. It's almost like a cutout. The background was supposed to tell a lot about the previous person of the portrait, and then I sort of played with it. This is wasn't going to be in the show. I think it was a latecomer to the show.
I think it's one of the stronger pieces. And the guy in the conservatory, he's also black and white on the color background.
Right. These two were pretty much worked on together.
There's another one, huh?
This is my son's seating, but all the rest is invented.
Uh-huh.
I enjoyed making the floor.
Sharon's iPad has her hand up.
Sharon's iPad?
That's what it says on here. Sharon, I don't know if you have a question. You need to unmute if you're going to ask a question.
Was Sharon's iPad able to be unmuted? If you touch the top of the screen, a drop box will come down with the video and mute on or off.
Well, I asked her to unmute, but nothing's happening.
Okay.
I have dogs barking, so I keep turning my mic on and off.
Okay. Okay, well, Ruti, go ahead.
Is there a question? Subway Girl, this is quite a quick sketch actually on canvas. I like working on the canvas directly. I make very small thumbnail drawings and then I immediately attack. So. These are images, photographs that I took on this New York subway. I have many of them.
Mm.
How big is that? Like how?
This one is quite small. This one is about 18 by 15.
You know, if we're going to have, this is a wonderful thing to have a link to on our website. And I think it would be good if you could correct it, Ruti, so that there are sizes on all of them, because that's very helpful to know what the
I had a problem with my iCloud, so I couldn't actually work on the JPEGs. So I'll try and
just send it to the gallery with the updated, you know, the titles. I don't know. Somehow we should.
Yeah, I'll send them
so the right titles
emails.
are on there, and so the sizes are on there because
this one is the correct title. Yeah.
Okay, but it would be good to have the size. It's really useful. So.
May I make a comment about the previous piece? Can you go back to it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm suddenly thinking about James Ensor. Something about, you know, there's something about the way you painted their faces. It's very stylized and a little grotesque. I like that. A little bit of social commentary, maybe.
Sometimes I like the contrast and not going into detail. And this is one that just stayed pretty loose.
Mm.
It's a small one. Yeah. I think this is the loosest out of all them all.
I like that because I think the emotion comes through very strongly when you don't refine it too much.
Yeah.
Not that I'm criticizing the refined ones, they're gorgeous, but this is intriguing.
I find it's hard to stay, you know, looser when you're working from a photograph. And this almost has a feeling like you may have been working from life, but you said you worked from a photograph. So I
sometimes photograph, sometimes I sketch. This one was also sketched.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has that immediate, has more immediacy, which is great. I like the texture on the floor too. Perspective. I love all your perspective. The way you curve up the space.
I always think nobody's going to notice that I use different vanishing points, but you do.
Yeah, that one. Mm.
This one is from a photograph.
And the reflection.
A very surreptitious one.
Yeah. Guys, jet lag. I love that title.
I actually had a show, and it was quite a large 60-inch painting that was sold. So I told my son I was going to quickly make him his own painting, and I did it without brushes, just with the fingers. So it was fun.
Wonderful. How big is that one?
That one is about 10 by 10.
Wow.
I do love it.
Yeah. I love the looseness of it, Ruti.
I wish the colors were better on all of them.
Did you say this one was titled Miss Corona?
Yes, Ms. Corona.
Ms. Corona.
It's a little bit overexposed though.
So the colors are deeper than this, Ruti?
Yeah, they are. They're grayer.
Ah. They're great. I really love this one. I've loved this one every time, the first time I saw it.
Oh, the angles. Sharp angles. Her elbows, her knees, the curtain, the dark is out of the window with her leotard.
Her long, long arms.
Yes.
This is from a model. This is a sketch from a model.
And the texture on the seat, the pinstripes, adding to all that stringy longness.
Very expressive. Oops.
I think they're nicer. They're nicer in the gallery. Go and see it in the gallery. It's much nicer.
Going to.
This one is Ziggy's dream. Ziggy's the dog.
What's the scale on this one, Ruti?
This is 48 by 36.
Wow.
Love it. It's got those Beckmann black lines.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of tension. You know, it seems very like she's in repose, but there's a lot of tension in the piece with the dog, the ears pricked up. It's marvelous.
Yeah, the dog is excited about going, but she looks like she's got jet lag too.
Or she's stuck.
Well, she's stuck. She cannot fly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really about not being able to go see my mom, basically, who is quite elderly.
Where is your mom, Ruti?
She's in Israel.
I love the shadow of this dog too.
I know, me too.
Great shape.
It just fits right into the pattern of the rug. It's almost like yeah, it's like it was designed there. Love it. Kind of like a cave drawing.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Ruti. The whole show looks fantastic. I can't wait to see it tomorrow.
Great show.
Oh, great. Yeah, it's nicer to see it in full view because they're quite large. Some of them. This one is very large.
Yeah.
Yeah. The perspective. I feel the motion on both of those pieces.
Yeah.
This is also 48 by 36.
Are we there yet? So
Yeah, are we there yet? That's what it's called. Anyway, I'll put them all on my Instagram at Ruti Art. later. So
That's how warm the chair is.
So this one's Michelle Mabel.
yeah, Michelle Mabel. Yeah, it's a model.
I want to get the ones I've correct these. I love her boots. I don't know the whole thing, but I just love the boots. Slippers or whatever.
Yeah, just kind of like the was it Gary's piece? The big boots on that guy and the homeless guy in the wheelchair, and she's got these.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The big boots with the tiny legs, you know, with the skinnier legs.
Right, right. Yeah.
The dark shadow.
It's an older piece that I added. It's one of the 4 paintings that I added to the show, just because they were seated and they were in my possession.
How large is this one?
This is 48 by 24. Anyway, thank you everybody for coming and seeing. It's really been a joy to have this show coming up. It really felt a little less isolated, just working as usual in the studio.
Yeah.
Well, the work is, go ahead, Abigail.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was stunning. Yeah. It's, you know, working with the goal, knowing that you're going to be sharing it. It does, for me, changes. I'm more of a social, I mean, yeah, it's like, and you can tell you just love people and the whole figurative thing. It's like connecting with people. So it's nice.
Just like you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say was I think all the pieces are interesting, and I really find the diversity really interesting. You told me as you were working how you were working really loose, and yeah, that's fantastic. I think you pulled a home run here. So congratulations again.
Thank you. Thank you.
I really think it's an advantage to have these online openings because we have such a dialogue that we don't have when they're all meeting at the gallery.
Exactly. I agree, Randy.
I prefer in the gallery.
Well, it's different. It's different, but in the gallery, it's like a cocktail party. You get to chit and chat with a few people, but you don't get the insight as much with the conversation with the artist. Maybe what we need to do is leave a time for the artist to, you know, where we introduce the artist. We've done this in the past, but not always. And the artist gets to talk a little bit about the work, and then people can feel a bit more accessible to the artist to ask questions and stuff. A lot of times I think people who come into the gallery don't know which is the artist of which piece and so on. So I think this is,
I think this is another tool that we have, and we shouldn't forget about it. So we can do both, really. We can do we can do an artist talk, which is equivalent to what this is, and a social opening. We can do both going
I
forward.
agree. I was going to say the same thing. Just like that, you know, to keep this, because there's something about this format that you take turns so everyone feels heard, and it's a slower process. It's a little bit more intimate, but I do also like the social and being in person and seeing the work in with the other work and people with, so I think both. Great idea, Iris.
But look at all the artists that were on this call in the comments that Ruti got on her work. I mean, I only got a few comments on my work when it was up for a month.
Yeah, I must say I'd like to look at them.
I would have really appreciated that, to have so much input.
I think so. I think I'll have to have a transcript of this, of the comments, because there's a lot of critique really that goes in.
It is being recorded, Ruti, so it's going to be available. I think it's up on YouTube, I believe, and the comments probably are too, I think.
Right, it's like a critique.
Well, that's what we don't have in gallery openings, which,
Right. And that's exactly what I've been craving, that critique, that group critique and that group art.
Yeah.
Conversation.
We're working on it, Abby.
But this is fulfilling some of it, so.
Well, good. That's good. Yeah. Great job.
Only thing I'm missing on this, Ruti, it's a fabulous show. I wish the sizes were on these images. It would be great to have that. So let's be sure we do that in the future, that we get the sizes up.
I didn't know I needed to do that. Yeah.
Because it's helpful when you're looking at an image on a screen with no context. So
anyway, everybody will have to go to the gallery then.
Exactly.
Pretty derelict there.
Right.
So beautiful.
But
Well,
it
for
is in
those
the
of
window.
those of you who don't know, we're open tomorrow noon to 4, and I'll be there. And then the other hours, just to reiterate, our hours are Friday 3 to 7, so people can stop by after work if they're working outside their home. And Saturday and Sunday, noon to 4 on both of those days. So I'm so thrilled with all of this work, both in the Solitude show and Ruti's show. It just seemed to be so really thought-provoking and interesting and challenging work. So that's one of my goals for the gallery on a regular basis. So yeah, congratulations, Ruti. Lee, do you have something you need to say?
I just wanted to say, yeah, thanks to everybody. Congrats, Ruti. And thank you again, Danny, for during the show, the Solitude show. And I do think all this work goes together really well. Ruti's along with the other show, but even though they're separate.
And thank you for giving me this opportunity. It was a lot of joy during time. And it's a pleasure to meet you all, and I love your show, Ruti. So thanks for sharing it.
Thank you, Danny.
If you like
Danny,
doing this, Danny, we may call you again. If that's okay.
That's great.
Well, Nancy just beat me to the punch, but I'm thrilled with what you chose, and your eye is wonderful. So I hope we could invite you again to be a juror for us, because it's been really enjoyable.
Yes, stay in touch. I'm going to be away from Chicago until February, so I'll come see it later on. But I'm looking forward to it. But
okay, are you coming back before it comes down in February? At the end of February?
I'm coming
Great.
around the first week of February, so I'll be able
Oh,
to.
great.
Yeah.
Hope you're going somewhere warm.
I'm in Georgia, and it is not much warmer here, unfortunately.
Well, you're in a hot spot anyway, even if it's not warm.
Yeah, yay, Georgia.
Yeah.
Well, thank everyone for coming. Thank you again, Danny, for choosing a fabulous show, and all of the artists who were participating in the show or who had applied for the show. Thank you so much for supporting ARC Gallery. In these difficult times, we're trying to stay alive, and although we're not open as many hours as we normally are, we are a pretty safe place to come and visit, because there's not We only allow, as I mentioned, 5 people in at a time. And I would encourage you to stop by and see these pieces in person, because things are always, as several of us mentioned, they're much better on the wall in context with the other work when you can see it in a gallery situation, which is one reason we've tried to stay open during these difficult times. So thank you all for your support.
Great job, Ruti.
Good job, Ruti. Congratulations.
How long
on
do we have
your
to see Rudi's work? I know she's not as long as Solitude, but how long
Right.
do we?
Rudi's work comes down January 30th.
Okay.
So
So
that's
have
that's what you got, Abigail.
Yes.
That shortened your visitation window, but anyway, hope you can get
Congratulations,
down and see it.
Ruti.
Congratulations. Great show.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Ruti.
Thank you, everybody.
Have
Sorry, I
a
was
good
unmuted.
rest of their weekend.
Congrats. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, I missed that one. Fuck.
I'm still here.
I'm still here.
Congratulations. I just want to say congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. I love it. I love all your work.
I'm still there. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I didn't hear you, Laura.
Sorry, I have dogs barking. Congratulations. The work.
Thank you, Laura.
You're welcome.
They're leaving.
Thanks, Mikey.
Hey, Ruti. Pretty good, babe. Pretty good, pretty good. Pretty good.
Very good. Good night.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
I'm gonna try to put down to see your work in person in January. I gotta figure
I'd love that. Let me know.
Okay, I will.
Oh, lovely work behind you.
Oh, thank you. That's a new piece I just did. That felt. It's I titled it this.
Let's start.